So we're going to kind of run through free agency and see if there's any changes from last week that are kind of bigger names. Bills, not so much. Obviously, Mitch Trubisky signing with them was huge because he's not coming back to the Bears. He's going back to the Bills, and it's kind of a reset on his career. He gets a 1-year deal where he can go to there, be a backup, learn a little bit, develop a little bit, and then break into the free agency market again next year for a team. So that makes sense.
Whoever his
for him.
agent is, super smart. Super smart deal.
100%.
I was a huge fan of that.
Yep, 100%.
Because he gets it, he literally like this. They were talking about this like when they were going over this. When I was just listening on the radio, but basically the fact of like go to a team that has like an awesome offense, that has like a good set of coaches and people who are actually going to develop you correctly, with the bonus fact of the fact that basically Mitch Trubisky should have become a Josh Allen type of player, and he's basically going to get to go there and learn literally from Josh Allen, hopefully, and maybe the coaches and everything, to try and emulate him. Signing. Yeah, and he gets to splash into the free agency next year when hopefully the cap is reset back to normal. And he's going to have that allure of like, even if he doesn't get to play, which would probably be the best case scenario, teams get to go and be like, hey, like maybe, you know, he's had a year, maybe he worked things out and he's ready to get like a low-end starter contract, like the Mike Glennon type of thing. And he's going to be able to make bank.
Well, and the thing too in the NFL too, that people don't understand is that if you're a quarterback that's drafted high in the first round, you're always going to get a second shot. That's just the way it is. I mean, Josh Rosen had a shot with the Cardinals, didn't work. Went to the got his shot at the Dolphins, that didn't work either. You could talk about circumstances, but that's just one of the examples that I can give. So with him being a second overall pick, there's going to be a team that's going to go, hey, he was a second overall pick for a reason. We think we can make him into the quarterback that he should be. Let's take a shot on him. And that's what's going to happen next year. So this is a great contract for him.
Yeah, and how interesting is it that the GM literally said we don't expect him to be back next year. We just like hope that he has a good tenure here. I thought that was really interesting.
They know he's like, if he's a backup, like if he was to be a backup for the rest of his career, he's one of the better backups, if not the best backup in the entire NFL potentially. So having him as a backup there, I mean, yeah, you'd be happy to have him for a 1-year contract especially because they're a team that went all the way to the AFC Championship last year and then now can go potentially again, if not Super Bowl hopes this year. So it's a great signing.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So
Emanuel Sanders too.
Well, we talked about him last time. Yeah, it's a great signing. Like I said before, I'm not a huge fan of John Brown. I never was. I never thought he was a good number 2 receiver because he kind of liked to quit on routes and didn't run hard. And I want a receiver that's going to come in and actually play and run the routes correctly and run them well and be a deep threat. That's more of a consistent deep threat than John Brown was. So Emmanuel Sanders fits that perfectly. I think he's an upgrade at the second wide receiver position. I really like the signing.
Yeah.
All right, moving down.
The
big
Dolphins.
One that changed here. Go ahead.
No, yeah, the Dolphins. Jacoby.
Yeah.
I think this is the newer one, right?
Well, yeah, Jacoby being there, I think we kind of talked about Isaiah Wilson getting released. There's a whole thing you could go and really read about Isaiah Wilson. He just got indicted actually on a charge for, I think it was a police chase that happened in January. He just got charged with that. So I don't know what's happening with him. I mean, at the end of the day, I hope that he gets himself right and comes back to the NFL and plays and is successful. I always will wish that upon people. I don't want to see them, continue to tumble down, but I don't know what it's going to take for him to do that. So, I wish him the best. Hopefully he figures it out. But Will Fuller, moving on to the next signing right there, is the big kind of signing here. He gets a 1-year deal, kind of a tryout. See how he does here from Miami. He was a little inconsistent with the Texans. He's a great wide receiver that has he's super fast, great deep threat receiver. He just had a lot of issues with being consistent, dropping the ball. So if he can kind of fix that this year or kind of reset his potential or reset his overall image as far as being a receiver who drops balls, instead being a receiver who's reliable and fast, he could potentially be in for a massive payday next year. So this is a great signing for him, especially going to a team that was up and coming last year and should look to improve this year too. And hopefully with the reins of the franchise for the entire year, is able to actually get that growth that he needs to become the quarterback that I think he can be. So that's the big signing there that changed. All right, Patriots. I don't think they really any big signings. There was a couple interesting ones. So
James White back.
James White coming back is huge. That'll really help. Cam Newton gives another wide receiver thrown out of the backfield. Again, the Patriots are doing perfectly what they need to do to build around Cam Newton and around a
God
potential
damn, look at
quarterback.
this list. Look at how long that
Yeah,
is.
yeah, but it's great signings. I mean, like Nelson Aguilar, yeah, paying him ridiculous amount of money for him as well as for Kendrick Bourne. It seems kind of high, but they're both speed guys. They're both speed receivers who are smaller, who will make those short, short in routes, short slants, things like that, which will give Cam Newton the best potential to reach his potential at least because he doesn't have the arm like he used to. So having him have fast receivers that will get open quick on short routes is great for him. Then give him two massive, super talented tight ends for the future is spectacular. Both are young because those also give you all of these signings also give you a lot of help for a rookie quarterback too. If a rookie quarterback does come in and they bring one in this year too, so either way, it sets them up really well. Trent Brown's a huge improvement to the offensive line. They needed a right tackle. They get it. David Andrews, re-signing him on a 4-year deal. He's been super, super consistent, super good there. So that's great for them. Then they get Ted Karras as a great backup. They bring him back. He actually came over from the Dolphins.
Why is David Andrews so cheap
I think
if he's
he's had
been
some
good?
injury issues, and I think that's why they brought Ted Karras in.
Okay.
But when David Andrews is healthy and playing, he's really good. But that's why you bring Ted Karras in because Ted Karras is he's potentially a good starting center in the league. So he'll be an even better backup than to a guy who could potentially be injury prone.
Gotcha.
Scroll down, they're keeping Lawrence Guy, which is good for them. That's really good defensive line depth. Rayquan Mcmillan, I love him, Ohio State guy. He'll be a really great linebacker for them because I think if anybody's going to get the potential that he has, which he does have a lot of potential, I think it's obviously going to be Bill Belichick in that defense. Kyle Van Noy is going to be a great one to bring back. They get him on a 2-year contract worth up to 13.2 million. He takes a pay cut coming over from the Dolphins, but he comes back to the Patriots defense, which he already knows, and he basically can slot in to the same position he was before. So that's huge for them. They also, I believe, get Dante Hightower back as well at middle linebacker. So their linebacking core is solid this year. Jalen Mills comes in as a safety cornerback hybrid, so that helps them a lot too, gives them some flexibility, especially with Patrick Chung retiring, which I wonder if that was kind of in the thought, and that's why they brought Jalen Mills in.
When that came up, it was it's just something that I just saw that I guess kind of alluded to it. It was the fact that a lot of people thought he was going to retire last year, but with the COVID exceptions, he effectively was able to like peace out for the year and then collect a full year's pay still, and then retire afterward, which is like awesome. Good for you.
Yeah.
That's
Get your bag.
perfect timing.
I'm always going to support the players. Get your bag.
Yeah, I would not be surprised in the slightest if that was known to the Patriots and they still did not care.
Bill probably didn't care. So
yeah.
All right, next team. I don't think there's really anything huge that changed from last time because we talked about Corey Davis, we talked about Carl Lawson
I think
being a great
Rankins was new.
Yeah, Lamarcus Joyner coming over. That's huge. He's a great slot corner, slash safety kind of hybrid there. So he plays a lot more in the slot, and that's where he needs to be successful. So that's a good signing.
I don't even know who the hell this is. I didn't even know they were
Marcus
franchise tagged. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's one of the best. He's one of the better strong safeties in the league, and has been playing really well for them. He's been pretty much their only like highlight on defense besides Quinton Williams.
Wow. Okay.
So he's just a little like under because he played for the Jets. So it's like you don't know him if he's not like on a succcial team.
Yeah. The Ravens, I don't think had anybody. They've just failed at trying to land a wide receiver. That's about it.
Yeah, I don't. I think they're going to draft that pretty much. I wonder if in my mock draft I have them drafting a receiver now that I say that out loud, but we'll see. We'll go over that in a second. Riley Reef, I think, is new. That's an interesting signing. I think he's more of a gap tackle. You're really putting him in a right tackle and seeing if it works. Bringing back Quentin Spain's huge. Trey Hendrickson, we talked about. Eli Apple, it's depth corner. No, I don't think anything's really changed there, notable at least.
Same thing for the Browns too.
Yeah, the Browns, I mean, their biggest signing was John Johnson, who's a really, really good safety. So That was a really sneaky good signing, so that helps.
Yeah.
Um, let's see, Steelers bring back Juju on a short deal. I know that he had offers I saw from like the Chiefs. Like, could you imagine Juju Smith-Schuster on the Chiefs?
It's so weird. Why did he go back to the Steelers who are decaying from the inside?
He
I don't
kinda
get it.
said that he said that he wanted to be a Steeler for life. There's something to that. I mean, Mike Tomlin's always been a player's coach, and players always like him. And then, the Steelers just have this mystique about them being a Steeler in Pittsburgh, and the Pittsburgh fans are very like they will support you if you're on their team and everything like that. So I don't know. Maybe there's just like maybe he just likes it there. I don't know. Maybe he just is happy with the fan base. He's happy with the team. Yeah, success obviously you think would be important, but I mean, at the end of the day, if everything else is great, maybe he just wants to take a 1 year deal, see if it works, and if he feels better about signing next year with them again, he'll do that. Or if he feels like after this 1 year retry, he doesn't like it, he can always leave. So
This is like, it's wild to me because I would love to hear what the other contract offers he possibly got, because even at 1 year, this is like, I mean, I know like obviously wide receivers are getting paid like jack for the most part,
yeah,
but like this is a crazy cheap deal and it's spread out cap hit throughout the years. Not that that matters to him, it only matters to the team anyways, but like this is
yep.
so weird. I'm so surprised that he stuck with them and stuck with this contract.
Well,
I
and
don't
the other thing too is you also have to keep in mind that the cap is supposed to blow up next year. Juju Smith-Schuster's only 25. This is a 1 year deal back with his team. He's always talked about how he wants to be a Steeler. This gives him another year where he can kind of hold off making a decision on signing a massive contract, potentially elsewhere when the cap finally bounces back next year.
Nobody
All right.
else really interesting there.
Uh,
Texans.
Texans have been just making some odd signings, but also I think I saw a couple interesting ones, like Philip Lindsay. That's a nice signing. He always plays hard at running back. Him and Mark Ingram are actually a pretty decent tandem, I think. So I think that's at least something. Connolly's there. It seems like they're doing whatever they possibly can to like give Deshaun Watson like the hope to come back. We'll
Yeah.
talk about Deshaun Watson and what's happening with him later, but yeah, it seems like they really want him back, and that's why they're trying to do everything in their power to upgrade their team. I mean, signing 4 wide receivers that's not something that should be taken lightly. Signing 4 receivers, 2 running backs, two tight ends, making a trade for a tackle, like you're really doing everything in your power to immediately make your offense better.
And so many people were correct about basically across the league, there's going to be so many 1 year deals. I mean, look at that. 1 year, 1 year, 1 year,
Yeah.
2, 1, 1, 1, 1. It's crazy. Crazy. Literally everyone's banking on next year returning to normal. It's
Yep.
just interesting to me that that's like so agreed upon. Everyone's like, all right, yeah, I'll take it cheap this year so we can get it, when everyone's got a bunch of space next year. Just an interesting
Yep.
thing about the market.
No, I know. It's definitely an odd year for everything, but I mean, for a lot of players, it's working out really well because a lot of players are able to get a couple $1 million, sign a 1 year
Guaranteed.
deal, and yeah, and then be able to hit the free agency market back when it bounces and everybody can spend money again.
Yeah.
So,
I love
all
market
right.
stuff like that. It's so cool. It's obviously
Yeah.
not going to happen every year, but specifically for this year, it's very interesting.
No, take advantage of it. That's what I was talking about. Like we said, with the Juju Smith-Schuster, signs a 1 year deal, goes back to the Steelers. He says he loves the city, so guess what? He gets to go back for a year, and then hits the free agency market when the cap explodes back up at 25 years old. He's in for a big payday.
Yeah.
So,
And I don't think they have anything else that really stuck out. I don't think so. They just have their complete
Desmond
laundry
King was a
list.
really nice signing. I will say Desmond King was a really nice signing, a cornerback right there.
Yeah.
That was a really good signing. Desmond King's a really, really talented slot corner. So getting him on a 1 year deal is really nice. And he's not old. Yeah, only
Oh, he's only
26 years old. So
26.
yeah. He played really well over again with the Chargers there. Um very, very like underrated corner. So, and again, with the new NFL, I cannot stress how important it is to get a corner that plays very well in the slot, because in the modern NFL, you look at the Packers for instance, how many times do you see Devontae Adams lining up in the slot? I mean, it's absurd. And that's why getting a slot corner that can play really well in the slot and is talented is so important in the league nowadays. So that's why you're seeing all of these slot corners getting these deals. And, like a Desmond King, for example, getting this 1-year deal right here. That's teams are going to make that a very high importance pickup because you should have a number 1 corner, but number 2 corners in the league have almost been devalued at this point now because a lot of wide receivers really aren't lining up in the number 2, like where a number 2 corner would cover. It's usually they line up either where the number 1 corner is going to cover them or the slot.
Yeah. So, and why would you choose to go up against number 1 corner if that makes sense? Why would you scheme that way?
That's why they're all lining up in the slot. It's, it makes it so much easier to put Devontae Adams in the slot and have him go up against, a nobody corner who's in the slot, and rather than him going up against your number 1.
Colts, bunch of cap space. The only thing they did that was interesting was T.Y. Hilton returning, probably for his last year.
Yeah, and I heard watching the Pat McAfee show, apparently T.Y. Hilton, he reported himself, the Pat McAfee show live, that he had turned down, he said, a lot of money from another team in order to come back to the
Ravens.
Probably. That's you don't need to whisper, Dylan. You're probably right.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, I guess you really like the city that much, and you made enough money, so who cares? But it's hard to believe that you'd resist going to get the bag, especially if you're thinking this is going to be your last contract, which he's apparently said a couple of times.
Yeah.
Why would you not take the 2-year, 3-year deal and then take the money and retire? But
you're getting $10 million, and you're probably going to be a slot receiver, which is where he should line up. So at the end of the day, and if Carson Wentz, like I said, plays anywhere near his old self, you're talking about T.Y. Hilton finally getting a good quarterback with a ridiculous team around him. So
yeah,
there's a lot of intrigue there. I could
corner? I'm sorry, who's their number 1 wideout?
The number 1 wide. Well, they don't really have a number 1 right now, but they also have draft capital and really no needs except for left tackle. So
yeah,
and you could sign a left tackle and then sign a wide receiver a second round, and by all of a sudden now you have you fit your 2 needs. They really only have 2 needs because re-signing Xavier Rhodes doesn't seem like a ton, but Xavier Rhodes was like top 7 in like a lot of things, statistics and stuff that matter as a corner. And so bringing him back is huge for their secondary. So really the only needs that they typically have is left tackle because Anthony Costanzo retired, which by the way saved them like $15 to $20 million. Even though they already had like 60 to spend. And then bringing T.Y. Hilton back puts another wide receiver in the slot. Michael Pittman hopefully makes the jump and becomes your number 2 receiver. And then you draft well enough and you end up with a number 1 receiver plus a left tackle that you bring in from the draft as well. And it could be first round you pick a tackle, or first round pick a wide receiver, and then second round you pick the opposite. That could be their plan. Ballard always drafts super well, so I feel confident in him to do that. So really, it makes sense for him to come back, especially if T.Y. is okay with taking a 1-year deal with the Colts, and then when the cap hits next year, he can come back on a bigger deal to a different team. So
yeah, cool. And the Jaguars.
The Jaguars really haven't done anything different. None of these look new, and none of these deals. You can scroll down. I don't think any of them are.
Did you see the video of Cam Robinson talking about having a number 1 pick?
No, really?
It was kind of funny. It was, yeah.
It's just always exciting when you can, we do have the first pick, and we are. Well, I guess I can't really say. We do have the first pick.
I can't hear it.
Oh, you can't.
What did he say though?
Basically, he's like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna I can't really say like who we're gonna draft or whatever," but he's kind of just like laughing. I'm looking forward to that. Whoever we're gonna pick, it's gonna be really good.
Whoever we pick with the first pick.
Yeah.
Whoever we pick with the first pick.
When we draft a tall 6'6" quarterback from a school that you definitely know. I can't name it or name him, but you know who I'm talking about. Like when we draft him, it'll be great.
Yeah.
Basically.
It's funny. He's pumped. He's like he's getting a new toy. It's awesome. Okay. So, we've got the Titans, which we haven't done anything new, I don't think.
They signed Josh Reynolds, hopefully to be a replacement for Corey Davis. That's basically the only newest thing. Janoris Jenkins being a slot corner. Again, slot corner is important coming over from the Saints. So that's, nothing new there. They also lost a lot of corners, which they, need to address. So that's why they end up getting 2 here. But I think they'll get one in the draft as a little teaser. But continue on. The Broncos. Broncos, nothing really new. Kareem Jackson
What do you
coming
mean?
back on a wonder deal is big. He's
The
again
Kyle
a
Fuller
safety.
signing.
Oh yeah, I wonder about that. We'll talk
Yeah.
about that later. Anyways, Mike Remmers resigning gives them at least one of the tackle positions, and then potentially Kyle Long moves over. I don't know what they're gonna do. I mean, the Chiefs looked at last year's Super Bowl and went, you know what our biggest problem was? Having tackles on the roster. Let's cut them. And that's what they did. And here we are with the signing of 2 guards and a serviceable tackle. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that plays out. I mean, it's the Chiefs. You can't count them out. So who knows? Maybe they draft well with a tackle.
I was going to say, isn't that who they have to be drafting a tackle, right? Like, what else do they have to address?
Shall see, Dylan. All right. Nothing really new here.
Tight end Derek Carr, rear.
It's fine. He's a re-signing though, so it's really nothing new. Yeah, nothing new out of them. We talked about them last week. Some interesting signings for sure. Jared Cook coming to the Chargers basically as a replacement.
He will never stop
Henry.
playing.
Listen, if he's going to keep playing at the level he's playing at, I mean, he doesn't need to. So
yeah.
I mean, he's consistently like one of the best tight ends in the league every year. So
he's only 33.
Yeah, and he's 6'6", 250. Anyways, yeah, it's a good replacement for Henry Hunter, who unfortunately they lost. And Henry Hunter's not really, you can't replace Henry Hunter, but you did a pretty darn good job in Jared Cook, I would say.
Hunter Henry, there
we go. Mixing up his name.
Henry Hunter is cool though.
Listen, there are 2 first names, one's the last. It's confusing.